What's going on, you bad motherfuckers? We're back, BFM for March, a little delayed, but we're here, and I can't say the next part, but we're here, and we're here to have a good time. And originally, I think we discussed talking about this once Jerry finished up this game. I think anything in this franchise is going to be a BFM at the end of the day, and we're starting off with Yakuza 0. Great game. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10. Lots of fan service, lots of good things. The story is great, even though it makes me very depressed at the end. It's a good time. So your basic premise, if you don't know the series, you're essentially in a very delinquent manga, I should say, between our two big heroes, Kiryu, Kazuma, and Majima Goro, going back and forth between their stories. Two very different individuals, but both come out to be extremely, the forefronters of the Yakuza franchise. Obviously, my favorite has come out to be Majima for a lot of different reasons. But I know, Jerry, you said your favorite was Kiryu. Well, I haven't talked to Grant about it, or Julian, about who their preferences are. But I know, Jerry, you like Kiryu. Danny, I think you're a Majima guy. A man... I either way you go, you're a man of culture, right? But I think there's just a little bit more for me to really appreciate Majima here. In Kiwami 2, definitely I like Kiryu a lot more because we get to see what he can actually do. But, I mean, this is a great franchise. I think Grant started it off for everybody, right?
Yeah, he played it first. I started shortly after him, but me being me, I fell off at a certain point. I think because I got lost or something. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I own 4 of these games. I should probably start this again.
Oh, you started it over?
I just picked up where I left off. I was like, right before the first Kuze fight is where I started again.
Yeah, I burned through it. I think what I had done is once you guys were into it, and I think Julian had started it, they were on sale. So I figured, you know what? Why not? So I bought 0 and Kiwami 2 off this site called Humble Bumble, whatever the fuck it's called. And they usually have some pretty good sales. So I told you about that, Jerry, but anybody's listening, I highly recommend Humble Bumble, whatever, fat titties.
Get it right. Get it right before you recommend
Dude, somebody will just look up Humble B something on Google and you'll find it. It's video games, it's software, it's a whole bunch of shit. But I bought it there for pretty dirt cheap, and then I got the HD collection on PS, PlayStation, for those of you non-gamers out there who I don't even know why you're listening to this if you're non-gamer. I'm kidding. We talk about film most of the time. But yeah, dude, once I really got into it, I couldn't stop playing it.
No, speaking of film, Yakuza is just pretty much a big film if you put it like the right way. I mean, if you go sans cut sub stories, the sub stories seem more like episodes in a Netflix series, Whereas if you just play the game just the straight story, and go through all the requisites just to get the more deeper in the storyline, then yeah,
I completely agree.
It's like a movie, but otherwise there's pretty much something for everybody. When we had the BDSM the side mission come on.
Oh yeah,
the
so
S&M,
good, dude.
I was very something within me that day when I was asked those questions and they were all correct.
Mm-hmm.
Something within me just feels like it just awakened into
look, man,
something else.
You're like, wait a minute.
No,
you don't know. You don't know. You don't know how good I felt when she told me, wow, those are all good questions. Those are all perfect answers. I'm like,
no, dude, look, it's like we said before a long time ago with, and we can get into this sub story too, and before I get into it, sub stories are essentially like side quests that you have with either Kiryu or Majima with other correlating NPCs that you see in Kamurocho or Sotenbori, and we said this before, dude. There's that sub story where you're Majima, and then you help out the little girl, like get the different prizes from the from the claw machine, where there is no wrong answer, right? Like, because we are the kind of guys that we are.
There's one right answer. You mean?
Exactly. There's only one right answer. And I mean that can go even to the BDSM part. So that just shows like not only how big horny we are here, but you know we know what's up. We know what we'll see the responses. It's like, no, okay, there's only one right answer. But yeah, I think that's what's nice, you know, and both you said it perfectly, you know, on and off air. Like, there's something for everybody in this game. I think in the series, from what I've played so far, like as far as the sub stories go, like there's just so much you can do. There's the wholesome ones. There's the ones that are just like super full on wacky. There's the ones that are super horny. You know, like where you're trying to beat the girl's score in the arcade, and then she's like, "I'm gonna give you the ride of my life," and then it pans over to like Kiryu's or Majima's crotch first, and then it goes over to hers.
I didn't do that one.
You know.
Ooh.
Oh, I did that one.
Oh, you didn't do those ones, Danny?
Look, let me tell you, I didn't do a lot of the sub. Like, once I found out there was 100 sub stories, 50 for Majima, 50 for Kiryu, I was like, I'm not doing most of these. Like, I just beelined. I mainly beeline the story a lot.
If there was something to do for some sub stories, like a certain amount of something I had to buy in order to get to a certain level, that's not a friendship. I don't think I got it. Like besides the shogi and the mahjong ones, like if there were sub stories in there, because I never stepped foot in either of those places.
Yeah,
I tell you the truth, fuck that.
I remember talking to people and they're like, they're like, did you do this sub story? I'm like, no. Oh, you're missing out. I'm like, I don't even know where to go for that specific one. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think is fair, but there are some that are they're just gold. Like the one where you help out the little girl that I mentioned. That one's awesome.
Yes.
There's a pocket racing customization build.
Oh, dude, the
I
pocket racer
that
stuff. So the pocket racer stuff essentially is like you build your own Lego to go on a track, and then you have to beat everybody there.
It's a lot of customization, and every little piece counts for something.
It's so good.
It's wild. It's so tedious, but it's perfect though, because it's something that I love. I love doing that kind of shit.
You know, I don't know.
Different builds, you know.
I don't know if you felt the same way. It felt like building a gunpla.
Speaking of, I don't know if you felt the same way either, but at the cabaret when you're dressing up the girls to get like the optimal stats.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. You know, let's move right into that one. So essentially, it is a side quest, right? Like you're Majima, and he's known as the Lord of the Night. So because he runs his own cabaret club, and he ends up having to help out a different cabaret club in Sotenbori, and you get introduced to the side quest of defeating all of the other big cabaret clubs that are in the area.
They're all up and coming. They're like the up and coming ones, and they're kind of taking over quick or something like that. Or they've been there for a while and they've kind of owned the place. It's a really big it's kind of like there's always a bigger fish kind of deal.
Exactly, and it's starting to be monopolized. You know, besides the main club that Majima runs. So he figures out, you know, fuck it, why not? I'll help him out. So, you know, engaging in that sub story was the first one that I really got into with Majima. And man, I spent maybe like damn near 30, 40 hours just doing that because it's so fucking good. Because not only is the mechanic really fun, but the BGM for Fever Time is so goddamn good.
Fever Surute?
Sunshine Fever! No, and then, okay, so beyond that, when I finally had like the right command for so when you have your girl there in the club in the minigame, your customer comes in, the girl gives you a hand signal. Once you get the hand signal correct, it does some really cool stuff. Put it real simply. But when you have one of your platinum girls, because they're all ranked, when you have a platinum girl and you give her the correct thing, there's a small little cute cutscene where Majima comes in his fucking fresh ass tux. He gives the thing off to the girl. She waves at him real subtly. And then this is the best part. As he walks away, he just and throws up a thumbs up, dude. I immediately thought of Terminator T2. I was like, that's fucking great. I love it. I want more of it. But even just the story alone and then building the relationships with the platinum girls are just so much fun. And look, I'm saying it right here now to put on the record. Yuki's best girl.
Yes.
Y'all can fight me all day
Yep.
long, dude. Yuki is the
It's
best girl.
unanimous.
I mean, you know what it is. It's the way her voice actress does Yuki in Zero specifically. It's so good.
You know, and this is, and to go more off what you're saying, you know, this is where I really love the voice acting in video games, you know, because it is an art, just like doing it inside an anime or even like other video games, like any kind of medium where you have a voice actor and they do it well to a T like this, it just brings you so much more to the table. And, you know, having Yuki be the first one that you get, not only was, you know, I was a little, I'm not going to say it because this is a kid's show, but, you know, I had a defense curl going up, but it was so good. And then, you know, just taking her out some more and then seeing how that relationship develops with her, getting to her final sub story that you have at the end when you get her to max rank. Perfect. So good. Yeah, I wish it was more like that in Kiwami 2, but I think it was fine in Kiwami 2. But Zero just, I think starting with Zero really gave me so much more of what I want in the series. It really set the pace, which I think is why, going with what you said to me a long time ago, Danny, like people who didn't start with Zero have a different perception of the franchise. I
Yes.
totally get it. I totally get it 110% because there's so much gold that we get in Zero that I'm like, dude, I am so hard for so many different reasons, and I hope I stay hard so I can just have a big loadout when I finish the game. But yeah, this has easily been one of my favorite franchises I've gotten into in a really long time. Like I can't think of any other game that's got me so involved in the story where I ran through Zero, Kiwami, and Kiwami 2 like in the span of like a month and a half, really.
Yeah, you zoomed through Kiwami 2, man. I was like, what? Oh, you're about to pass me. I need to beat this game real quick.
Dude, I don't know what it is, dude. I think it's the way the dialogue works. Like, it is very dialogue heavy, and I really appreciate that. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yes.
You know, if you do turn away for a second, you may feel a little lost because it is all in Japanese. I didn't play with the dub because I feel that it's better to play it the way that it was made.
The only dub is the original Yakuza 1 and then 7.
Oh, so everything else is sub. Oh, okay. Even better. There's a lot in the series that I like. You know, like, let's go to Kiryu for a second. You know, he's this hot shot who was picked up as an orphan with his boy Nishikiyama, he's our boy at the end of the day, you know. I won't get into what happens later, but, you know, he is our boy, and just seeing them come up on the Yakuza, you know, their whole story and what they have to go through, it's a good time. You know, I went into this series not knowing anything at all besides whatever you, Grant, and Julian had told me, which for most of it was all sub-story wise. It wasn't anything about like the actual premise of the game, you know, with him being framed and what he has to go through to try and prove it all. And it's crazy how this character has to go through so many hoops to prove his own worth to himself and to the guy who brought him into the Yakuza, and just to clear his own name. And then on top of that, he now has to engage with the real estate, the Tachibana real estate company, you know, who's like, hey, dog, we can help you, but we're not going to tell you who we are, really. And it's like, if I came from Yakuza, if somebody came and told me that, I'd be like, yo, who? Hold on. Where are the guns? I don't trust anybody. Just seeing that, I'm like, dude. And then going into the real estate stuff, I'm like, dude, okay. And then all the betrayal that happens in Zero and all the twists and turns.
Yeah, a lot of set pieces in Zero for sure, for both sides. You know, there's so much going on, and I think it's all paced pretty well with all the characters. Like, everyone gets their time to shine. Obviously, some more than others, but I think the way that, like, with Kuze, for example, right, you fight him 4 times, I think.
each time gets better than the last.
Yeah, and then the other two lieutenants, you only fight them once each, but as Kiryu, and just the moments that you get with all those interactions that all kind of balance out evenly, so it's not like one's favorable than the other. Like
exactly.
Like when it's their time to shine, like they're the main focus, and I think that's good.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it complements each other really well. So like we would see, I mean, you start off the game as Kiryu, which makes perfect sense, and then you go into Majima. And the things that happen offset each other really, really well. So like as we're going through Kiryu's story, he's trying to prove his innocence. He's trying to find out more about the history of who's actually trying to steer him wrong and take the empty lot, which is the biggest premise in the game. Who owns this piece of land that and who can control it? Then we go into Majima side. Oh, before I really get into this is all spoiler territory. So if you haven't played the fucking game, I'm sorry. Go play the game. Go spend your money. Do it now. Anywhere you go. Games Pass, Steam, PlayStation. My ass, play it. Anywhere. So then we get into Majima side. Right? And then we get introduced to Makoto, who is the girl who I didn't know was going to fuck me up for the entirety of this fucking game, dude.
Yeah, honestly.
Like
every time she was on screen, it was a treat.
Oh, it was so good.
Just wait, guys.
But,
just wait.
Shut the fuck up!
Oh, I already know.
It's the meme I saw in the shitpost group for Yakuza.
You fucking don't blame them for your fucking mistrials, bro.
Nah, I like Makoto.
Don't bring that shit over here.
Makoto was great. She's what she is supposed to be.
Exactly.
And it's played off well.
I'm not gonna lie. Every time I would walk out to the hallway and I would see Jerry playing fucking Yakuza, I'd like, if she was on the screen, I'd be like, you have no idea what's gonna happen right now. It's gonna get so good.
The ending is trash.
Hey, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
You already know why.
Yes.
We're gonna get into that. That's why. But yeah, dude, it's just seeing. So then we get Makoto, right? Who's the inherent born person of this empty lot, like. But she's blind from PTSD. For reasons we're not going to get into in a second. So, just finding this information out, both sides, as you're going through the characters, I think you get like 2 chapters a pop before you swap over, which is pretty great. It gives you a good amount of story, a good amount of things to do with your preceding character before you hop into the next one. Which I think was a really, really good way to do it. I think if Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance did it that way, that would have been way much of a better game. But we're not going to talk about Dream Drop tonight.
And here's your Kingdom Hearts post for the hour. What? I'm like, there's your daily Kingdom Hearts quota filled.
Exactly. Look, when we're recording this, came out on Epic Game Store today. So, I had to throw it in here somewhere. But yeah, I think it was a mechanic that worked really, really well. And the fact that you have an item box where like you can drop some equipment into, pick it up on the other side and use it, I think that's really cool. The other thing I will say about the game is that I haven't played too many of these where it's like a beat 'em up. And having the beat 'em up where you have 3 different modes or like
Fighting
types
styles.
of ways to there you go, fighting styles. I think that was really cool. Majima's definitely my favorite, where you got Slugger, you use a baseball bat, remind me of Paranoia Agent. You got Breaker, reminded me of Carl back in high school when he used to do these fucking crazy ass shits and I thought he was gonna kill himself.
Fucking stupid ass air flares, bro. They were sick hype.
Dude, and fucking mad damage, like come on, man. And then you got Thug, where you just, the first combo you learn is how to like
You just
put your
spam
fingers
X,
into
dude.
someone's eyes,
Oh,
dude.
yeah, for real. Just
It's like, dude, come on, man. And then you got Kiryu's, where he learns it from Grant, essentially. Well, I call Baka's Grant because he looks like him like in 20 years.
Boy.
Yeah.
boy.
Boy.
Hey, boy. Oh, boy.
But essentially, Kiryu gets Brawler. rush mode, which is pretty great, boxer stance, and then you get beast mode, which is fucking sick, dude.
That
okay,
shit,
Taught by the
that
waifu.
carried me. That shit carried me.
I'm not even shy anymore, dude. I was so
Neither.
fucking hard when I saw her come out on the screen and she was wrecking these guys. And then Kiryu,
Oh my
like
God, yes.
the nice thing about Zero was that when your character was gonna learn a new style, they would have like a quick anime moment, like, "Oh, this is what I could do."
Fucking Miss Tatsu is fucking genius.
Dude, it got me so out of works, but they were all so great. You know, they all complement each other really, really well, especially when you could chain into them, you know, later on in the game with different combos. It was a really good time.
For real. Like, the more you spend money into it, the more you can learn new stuff. Like, there was a move where, like, if you have the 3 bars filled, or at least up to 3, and you taunt, you get your health back. That's beast.
Yep.
That shit this just saved lives. And plus, like, when you're in a crowd, beast mode is fucking great because you can just grab somebody if you're level 3 and then you just knock 2 people out, or all 3 people out. You basically throw 1 person into 2 people and then that's 3 already. Quick maths. And then fucking, I don't know about you guys, but I always saved rush mode for the bosses. Like, I know you guys saw me with the last boss. And how I just fucking dempsey roll that motherfucker with the rush mode.
Yeah, because combat-wise,
that's pretty easy.
the bosses are pretty ruthless in their attacks, especially when they get into their heat mode, and they start throwing those crazy powerful combos. You're gonna want to weave and dodge, and I mean, you could take the hits with beast mode, which is recommended for some stuff in Kiwami.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but no, yeah, I like Rush a lot too. But my only problem is it's not strong enough, you know. But that's where I'm going with Brawler, because Brawler's it's just a rough version of Rush
of the Dragon of Dojima. Oh no! See,
I'm not a big fan of the Dragon of Dojima.
No, but like I thought Brawler was like a sort of mix of a 3, but like a more advanced version of Brawler. If that makes sense. That's how I thought.
I can see that.
Yeah,
but
I
don't know.
definitely see
I don't
that.
know if you guys ever did this when you're in rush mode. But like, if you don't, like, let's say when you're pulling a combo on somebody, and you know how when you finish the combo you push Y, right, and then it knocks them back.
Yeah.
But that's supposed to finish the combo. So I don't know if you guys ever like just kept pushing X, right? Like do like a 1-2, like quick 1-2-3-4, and then just dodge, and then just do the 1-2-3-4 again, and then dodge again, and maybe get like 9 good hits in before the finisher, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they, like, once you get 9 hits in, they just get dizzy, and then that's when you do like a heat action, which basically just like you punch him, you basically throw a solar plexus punch, and then it just knocks him into like 2 more people as rush, and I'm like, this is awesome.
See, I wasn't the biggest fan of Rush. I'll be honest with you. I was more of the Brawler into Beast, but I could see now how Rush would have been the better option in a lot of situations.
Like Danny said, like there's not a lot of power into it, but I don't think it's meant for like finishing off people. I think it's like meant for the long run.
Well, what it is to get your dodges in too, and to build up your heat meter, and then
like
you can swap over to the damage stances.
Like it's a good Mr. Shakedown fighting style to use, and boss as well.
Yeah, I definitely used Rush a lot in both Zero and Kiwami.
That's cool. I'm glad it's in Kiwami.
Yeah, in Kiwami, I didn't use Rush all that much. I was really stuck to Brawler and
Beaster.
And Beast, yeah. I don't know. It just I think it's because I didn't use Rush a lot in Zero that when it translated over to Kiwami, it's like I didn't really use it all that much besides like to weave and all that kind of stuff, to do like a quick dodge, then like go back in for a quick movement.
Yeah, no,
it wasn't for me.
I was the same way with Beast. I thought Beast was all right in Zero, and then in Kiwami, where I was like, okay, these guys are telling me I should use it. I'll check it out. And then learning how to actually use it, I was like, oh, okay, this actually can be fun.
I think Beast works better in Zero because you do have a little bit more armor than you do in Kiwami. And then Kiwami too, you know, that's a different story. But yeah, the different styles are really great. I definitely use more of Majima's because I spent a lot more time as Majima.
Right.
But I will say that if I incorporated all three styles when fighting Mr. Shakedown, I probably would have had an easier time. But when it came to Kiryu, I stuck with beast mode and like I would bait Mr. Shakedown to where I had a lot of bicycles.
Yeah, honestly,
or
that's
where I
the
had a
spot.
lot of shit to fucking just like pick up and like beat him up with because
Yeah.
I hated
That
that thing.
auto grab items is like fucking great when you're in like a crowd of tough enemies, or
Oh,
like when you're
100%.
or when you're in shakedown as well, because that's like that plus like the armor you get from just attacking. It's like it's icing on the cake. You're basically unstoppable.
Dude, you know what I just realized is Mr. Shakedown is the bully in high school.
Yeah, which one?
Hey, bro,
all
bro,
four of them for sure.
Give me your lunch money. No, fight me. And
I like that one guy.
He's
I love that guy.
always this like
He's like,
always
hey, how you doing? Give me your money.
It's like dog, like, and he's always was like 6'2", 6'3" or something. He's always in the same grade as you too, and you knew you were smarter than him, so you could kind of like stand there and be like, "Well, I'm smarter than you," but he'd look at you with like some fucking like refined ass toned muscles that he shouldn't have had for like a 15-year-old, 14-year-old, and he's like, "Hey, give me your money. Hey, give me those Cheetos." But
Yeah.
Mr. Shakedown was a really cool part.
Run your pockets.
I wish he was in more. I liked him a lot. But what we get in Kiwami is pretty great too. So you'll see what I mean when you get there, Jerry.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start it pretty soon
Yes.
because I got the itch. I just want to see how bad it gets.
Oh, it'll get pretty bad. Trust me. I lasted about 12 hours. I just needed to see more. But we'll get back to the story. So, I mentioned earlier Makoto had PTSD. She was blind. Majima sent over to kill her so he can get some freedom and actually join back the Yakuza again.
That moment where I was like, oh, I'm going to like this game.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's the scene where he's sitting in the massage chair and he hears the guy who he thinks he's going to kill walks in. And
oh, yeah. Mr. Lee.
Yeah, Lee shows up, and what I really liked about that scene was the tension that was built. Like, you could feel it in the air, mainly because Makoto is in the room, and because she's blind, she can't see what's going on. She doesn't know Majima has his tattoo on his back, nor does Lee, as we see he has tattoos as well. And it was really good build up to the fight.
Yeah, and the other important thing to note is that Majima is sent to find this girl for his freedom in the Yakuza, or actually for the Omi Alliance. Omi Alliance slash the Dojima family. And he has to go through some hoops trying to find this girl, but the key thing is that she is actually trying to find somebody with a specific tattoo. So once the Connect finds out that he doesn't have that tattoo, they're like, oh yeah, then, we can link you over to her. That's fine. Maybe you can help her out. And that's where we get introduced to the other character, the middleman, Lee. And the cycle just kind of goes on from there.
Yeah, so we're getting all the establishment coming in, and with Majima's side, he's very confused on what to do. He wants to get back to the Yakuza by any means necessary, but, I think it's clear when he's there too that this guy doesn't kill people, right? At least at this point in his life. Similar to how Kiryu is. They're both good fellas just in the Yakuza. The Omi Alliance, Dojima clan. They're after Makoto. He's like, why are they after a blind girl? I thought they were after this guy. So he has all these questions that he wants answers to because he's like, this doesn't feel right. And that's where we pretty much get the main establishment for his character. Which is very different from Kiryu because, as I mentioned it on the main podcast, Kiryu is just Kiryu in Zero.
I'm big, strong.
Yeah, I've mentioned it plenty of times, but like, it's more interesting with Majima because I know what Majima is in the like the gist, anyways, for the rest of the series versus how he is here. So to see the transition of him getting to that point was way more interested. On my end versus just Kiryu being Kiryu, but like he punched people hard so he could be good. The only reason I talk like that is because that's kind of how Kiryu thinks, you know?
Yeah, it's just a more simplistic man. Simple man with simple pleasures. If it doesn't work by not punching his fist to it, then he just is whatever. It's out of luck. It's not his problem.
Here's where I really start to like Majima a lot more. You know, because at first we see him as a character that wants to find his way back into his clan, right? He wants to find a way back into the Yakuza because of a mistake that him and his brother made. Which I'm like, okay, I can see that. I can respect it. But then seeing him have to go through these hoops of like, what does it mean to be... What does it mean to steal a human life? What the fuck is his name? It starts with an S. Who's with him this whole time?
Sagawa, yeah.
Yeah, Sagawa's like, hey man, you can do it. You can come back. But you have to kill this person. And he never discloses if it's a girl or not. He just says you have to kill Makoto, whatever her last name is. And he's like, all right, cool. But then once he finds out, not only is she blind from PTSD because she was kidnapped by, was it the Koreans or the
Chinese?
Yes.
The Koreans or the Chinese mafia? I think it was Koreans, right?
Yeah, they didn't touch on the Chinese yet.
So she was kidnapped by them when she came over to Japan to try and find her brother.
Yes, sir.
And then Majima's like, well, I don't feel it's right to kill you because I just don't know, right? Like, I thought you were just some fuckhead who, like, did all this fucking bad shit with these college girls and, like, forced them to do all these things, you know, all these adulting things, and you were just a fucking shithead. But no, you're actually a good person who just had really bad things done to you. And now he's conflicted. Now we see more of the growth. Now we see more of him, like, oh my God, what now? I'm torn between what I want for myself and what is better for the world, right? Or the Yakuza world, so to speak. So seeing him go through that confliction is pretty great. And then on the flip side with Kiryu, you then start to see exactly what's going on. He gets the other side of the story where he meets Tachibana from Tachibana Real Estate that I mentioned earlier. And at the end of that, he's got his boy Odo. Is it Oda or is it Odo?
Oda.
I'm thinking of Star Trek. Dude. I've been watching a lot of Deep Space Nine, and security chief over there is called Odo. So then we get a little bit more preface that Tachibana's looking for his sister, but we don't know who his sister is. But when we put two and two together, it's like, it could be Makoto. We don't know yet.
It's pretty anime.
Oh yeah, dude. It gets super anime. And then we go back to Majima. He does some more reconnaissance, tries to figure some stuff out, gets in trouble, you know, and then fucking homeboy Lee dies, dude, in a bomb accident, dude. That shit was crazy.
That shit was a travesty. Poor Makoto was like, what the fuck happened? No.
Yeah, dude.
No, wait. No, she was out cold. Never mind. But he's still like, dude, that shit was wild. I fucking knew that shit was gonna happen. Like, somehow,
dude, something was
that
gonna
shit
happen.
was coming, dude. Because, like, the music was getting intense, and if it wasn't that, it's just the fact that, like, all right, good, we just gotta get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, no, you're not going anywhere, dude. Like, something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then I see Lee. He's like, let me go start the car. I'm like, that's it. That's it right there.
Game over.
Yep.
Dude, and you know what it got me at that point is like, now Majima's tied. Now he has to make a call.
Fuck yeah, dude. It was like Sagawa fucking. Was it Sagawa's boys who fucking put the bomb in that?
No, it was the Chinese.
The Sagawa showed up. Sagawa showed up, and then it was the dude in the white suit. I forgot his name.
That was Sarah.
Sarah.
Yeah, it was Dojima. It was Dojima family who did it.
So Dojima put the thing on the car. What the fuck?
See, that's the thing about this game, right? We were saying earlier, there's a lot of pieces. You got to pay attention. You can't look away. Mm-hmm. You know, because there's so much going on.
I just knew they were getting hunted, but I don't know by like what.
I'm pretty sure it was. Different. If I had to guess, I would say it was probably the Omi Alliance that put it in there. That put the bomb on Lee's van.
No, who it was the Dojima family, because they knew who it was, and they wanted to get rid of her already. They didn't know, which what I'm about to say, is that we find out that Tachibana is also looking for her sister. He wants to find her, and that his sister was the rightful heir to the empty lot, which is the whole premise of the game. Dojima knew that, so they're like, oh, if we take her out of the picture, then it's just free empty land. All we have to do is offer up a really good bid, and then we make our money back like 100-fold.
But that's where it gets confusing, though, because Sarah doesn't want that to happen, right? As we find out later when he's talking to Kiryu, he's like, no, we're going to use this to our advantage so that way Dojima doesn't become the next head of the Tojo clan.
Right, exactly. But then we get the info that Sarah says where it's like, oh, dude, big brain MODOK, Kazuma, you know, his orphan father is like, no, dude, I know who it is. This is what you got to do to make sure Dojima thinks that this is what's going on. And then we make our move from there. You know? So then, as we're going through all this, Sarah then reaches out to Kiryu and he's like, hey, go find this girl. She's going to be here at this address. Go pick her up. Now, this is where it gets crazy because she's looking for a guy with a bat tattoo this whole time. And then push comes to shove, the guy with the bat tattoo is Oda. And this is where things start to really take a turn. Because now Kiryu's like, dude, how do you, to Makoto, how do you know this guy's voice? What's going on? And then she tells him the whole story. Like, I was kidnapped. A lot of things happened to me. That's how I lost my sight. But I know this guy's voice because he was the one who did this to me. And then come over to where Oda is best friends with Tachibana. He would do anything for him. He's like, I would never want to hurt him like this, so I got to take this girl out of the equation. It's like, dude, you are now doing so much more work. You're doing so much more to betray your boy, and it's just all fucked. Oda comes out being a hero in the end, which is great. But then the story just progresses even onward from there. It's crazy, dude. You know, just to see the back and forth of what's going on and how they interconnect with each other. You know, and then you have Majima who is going still through the hard time of like, I don't want to kill this girl. I want her to stay alive. And then they have their heart to heart where he tells her, oh, I also lost an eye. Like, I also can't see.
Don't get
and
me
then
started.
she goes, dude, no, we started it now, dude. Because we're getting to the end game now at this point. And then
Jerry has
she's
his hand on his head for reference here.
I'm so done.
Dude, and
I
then
didn't know. I thought I only had to relive this once. I forgot we had to do a podcast about it.
I know. That's why I said I'm going to fucking drink again for this one. But, and then this is the part that really fucked me up. Is that she said, oh, maybe you can get your sight back. And he said, no, but you can. One day you can get your sight back, but I never will. And that's the part that I'm like, you should remember that there is one person that you will always remember that doesn't have sight in one of their eyes. We'll get back to this at the end of the game. So then now Kiryu has her, and then Dojima gets her, thinks he kills Makoto. Majima shows up. Sarah saves the day, brings Makoto back to life, or at least has her under conditions. And now Majima enters the full mad dog of Shimano that we all know and love. And I thought that was my favorite part of the game for Majima. When he was just like, fuck it, dude. I'll kill everybody. I will kill anybody that's in here. That's going to stop me from saving this girl.
Yeah, he got them feels hard, son.
Oh, yeah, dude. He stepped on some gum called feelings and was like, it's not coming off my shoe. I'm not taking it off my shoe. Now, the other important thing to note before we get into the end phase of all this is that Makoto has a watch that has been broken for some time. And she tells Majima, hey, it has a really nice chime. This watch isn't for me. Like, it looks hella janky. And I'm like, hella bomb, like it doesn't fit, And Majima just has the fucking finesse to be like, I'm going to remember that later on. We get back to Kiryu's side. Everybody figures out that Tachibana is like potentially related to this girl. And they want to fuck him up for finding out more information. And then we get to one of the best Kuze fights with Kiryu and Kuze, and Tachibana's dead, dude. And Makoto comes in and she touches her dead brother and is like, I can see now. The tragedy has now hit me in a different way where like some of my sight is back.
Very anime.
Yes.
Oh, 100%. And then the story progresses on from there where it's like, now we got to find Makoto. She's run away. Majima finds her. And then they start talking. And then she has some of her sight back. but she never looks at him, which is what fucking... That shit fucks me, dude. It's like, how would you not look at this guy? She runs off. Then we get to the scene where she tries to make a deal with Dojima. Dojima kills her. Sarah saves the day. Rada, rada, rada. And now we get to real end phase. Kiryu's now after the heads, which is now Shibusawa, Kuze. So it's like, dude, come on, man. Like, it's just so good. Like, now you have all these different clan captains really eating it out towards each other. And they're all like, no, this is how it really means. Not just to be a man, but to be a real bona fide Yakuza member, Yakuza person, the Yakuza lifestyle. All of it just kind of like incorporates itself like with your actions and with your own morals of how to progress as a human being in this kind of world. And this was even more of a turning point for me, which is like, now I really like this series. You've thrown in a whole lot of different elements, a whole lot of different tropes that I am familiar with, but I don't read or watch enough to see it so frequently. But to see it done in such a manner that's so successful, I'm like, okay, I'm spending my time on this. I'm investing time just into the story, just into the dialogue, just to see exactly what the fuck is going to happen between these cats, right? So then now you get everybody fighting over this girl who doesn't deserve to die. And everybody's just fighting for her. I mean, obviously, Majima has now stepped on feelings. He's attached to her in some sort of way. Kiryu just wants to be the good guy because he was grown up as an orphan. Somebody saved him. He wants to save them. We get a lot of that going on. You know, like, I want to save you for this and that reason. Not even as a redemption for myself, but just as a redemption that I could do what somebody replicated for me. So, like, for Kiryu, it was what Kazuma did for him and Nishiki and Nishikiyama. And then we have Majima, who's doing it because Shimano gave him the extra chance, right? And then we get to Endgame. And Kiryu becomes the nice, cute name that he gets, the Dragon of Dojima. Which was a really, really really... Oh, my God.
Okay.
It's a cute name, dude.
Okay.
He even says it's a cute name.
Okay. Have you done the grab combos though?
Yes. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
The Dragon of Dojima,
fine.
right?
Yeah. What do
yeah,
you do?
I did
XXX instead of Y it's B or XXXYB.
Mm-hmm. I did those.
Yeah,
Those
I don't
are
know.
good. I like those a lot. That's the only thing. Yeah, I haven't really put any like money into those skills. The last fighting styles. I don't know, dude. Like there was no extra move I can use. Everything was pretty much there already for me. I just had to figure it out. I like it more personally than Majima's. More because it's more free with the combos.
It is. To make note, so while Majima had the cabaret stuff going on, Kiryu had the chance to have his own company of real estate where you had to go through and own different sections of Kamurocho. Mm-hmm. And that was his side story, essentially, just for him. Which was, I think, the more I think about it, I think it was fun, especially with the different kings that you meet in each area. I think it was a really good time. The one that really fucked me up was the Pleasure King, where the minigame is you talk to a hotline girl. You know, you pretty much call like a hotline, kind of like in Punch Drunk Love, and then you talk to this girl, and she essentially takes you out on a date at the end of it if you answer everything correctly and you do everything the right way. Now, what fucked me up is, Jerry, you're watching me when I did it, is that when you succeed, the person who you take out on a date is the Pleasure King, and it's very LGBTQ friendly, and the Pleasure King is...
Dude,
yeah,
no. You know what? That minigame itself.
It's in that realm. It's in that realm.
The minigame itself, it had some weird okay, so like each level, each like amount, you know, like it says like pay this much or short, medium, long session, whatever. Each one of those has like 2 girls or like a total of 3 girls you can get, and it's at random as you can get them. And you can really tell who it is by like the pattern on the bikini, the hairstyle, and the fucking color of the bikini. and like it could be a mix of any of those three, or it can be one of those three, and a mix of any of those three to become that one girl, and it's a RNG, and it's so like it's so good, but it's like I can't, dude, because it's so creepy. Like I can't look, I can't fucking just like what color is that
catfish,
shit,
dude.
you know? So
Best
like,
catfish, bro.
fuck
Like
yeah,
dude, catfish got the idea from Yakuza.
that's too much for
right
my smooth brain. Like I can't.
That's a bowl of cereal you didn't know you're gonna have in the morning. That's all I'm saying.
See, I think those were one of the side quests that I missed too. Because I just didn't want to do them all. I wanted to do the correct ones, and you know what the fuck the correct ones were,
Right.
But see, that's
exactly.
the hard part though. Is just like you won't know until you start it.
right?
Yeah. Like there's one I did with the fortune teller, and she pretty much tells you every single Yakuza game, like what's gonna happen every single one, and I'm like, oh wow, that's interesting.
Oh yeah,
You know?
I remember talking to her.
You know, and I was like, huh. And then as I got through Kiwami, I was like, oh wow, that's fucking on point. And I got to Kiwami too. I was like, whoa, dude, hold on, you're going a little too far for me now. Like you're giving me spoilers. I haven't even started the fucking game yet. But you know, to go back to the main story, just to finish it all off, we get to Kiryu fighting Shibusawa, which was great. I think it's probably my favorite boss fight in Zero, because there's just so much that happens like on the boat. And then we get to Majima, who fights the assassin who has been killing off a whole lot of people, you know, and he wrecks the shit out of him, gets in front of Dojima, and it's like, I could kill you. But Sarah's like, nah, man. Make him live. It will do you more justice. And that's where even more so, I'm like, that's why I really appreciate Majima as a character. He's like, I don't even want to do it because he does deserve death. He deserves all the shit that's coming to him. Not just because you tell me, but because I know what he's done. It's like, I'm being the bigger guy. But you can see the turmoil it's causing him, right? You can see the gears even start to turn even more in a way where he's like, I have all this trauma and I'm going to keep going with this because this is the life I want to live. And then we get to fucking Endgame, dude. And this is why I started drinking. Happy ending. Makoto lives. She gets her sight back by some anime reason. And some of Majima's guys are harassing her and the doctor that has been helping her for a while. Majima shows up and his guys are like, hey, look, boss, look at what we got, blah, blah, blah. He beats them up and he just kind of looks at her. And this whole time to me, I'm like, he has an eye patch. He's got one fucking eye. That's your boy. Right fucking there. And then her doctor comes in. And then he's like, all right, I got to talk to you. Essentially, all you need to know from the conversation is Majima asks the doctor, do you love this girl?
He pulls her. You gotta say that he pulls her aside and say why he pulls her aside, and explain all that shit.
Like, why do you love this girl? Do you just love her because she's a fucking woman, or do you actually have attachment to her? Because he does. He's got it all. He did everything in and around the fucking universe for this female, and he just wants to make sure. And Doctor says, yes, I do. And Majima goes, good, do it for the both of us. Now get the fuck out of here. At this point on Kiryu's side, he's back in the Dojima family. He's back in the Yakuza after he left, cleared his name, everything's Gucci. And then we get the nice scene with Kiryu and Majima, which I wish was a boss fight where you could choose whoever the fuck you wanted to be. We get the good old classic Majima line, Kiryu-chan. But then we get the fucking end credit scene that fucked me up. Where Makoto goes to the empty lot that she's been owning. And a sound goes off. She digs down. She finds the watch that has now been repaired. And it could only be one person who did that for her. Which was Majima, who she doesn't even know his name.
She really doesn't. She never said it, or he never said it in front of her.
and then the game fucking ends, dude, and that's Yakuza 0. Honestly, Yakuza 0 is probably still my favorite, and I think it would be Kiwami after that.
Yeah, having beat Yakuza 3 before we started, Zero's still at top. So, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 0 and Kiwami are really good following back after each other because of the story. 2 is good. It's a fun time. But it doesn't hold what Kiwami or 0 did for me.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, get into the franchise. It's a good time. It's really good. It's a good delinquent manga. It's a good movie. It's a good everything. I have very little complaints to how the story actually is written out. You know, it just it's too good. I don't know how more people haven't played the franchise, honestly, at this point.
At least some people heard of it, though.
It's a niche. It was a niche game. You know, it's not in English. Nagoshi, you know, the guy behind this whole series, he didn't even want it to come out in the West at all. You know, it was 2 years after launch for the first game, and then that was dubbed in English, which didn't do good. So they said, okay, we're not dubbing this anymore. But it was always the delay of like 2 or 3 years for the games to come out here in the West. But it had a small enough audience to keep getting the games come out here, you know. Aside from like the super niche ones, like the Japanese era or like the feudal era spin-offs, which all the fans want now. But yeah, it really wasn't until the memes blew up with 0, where it was just like, yo, what game is this? What's going on?
Right. The karaoke, the dance stuff, like, it's all good, you know, like, we talked about the sub-stories, but even the mini games are great, like the karaoke, going into the dance, even though the dance stuff is hard as shit.
They got some jams
like,
in there.
It's like a really hard rhythm game, dude, like, you know, like, all of it's so good, you know, like the cabaret, some stuff with the real estate is pretty fun too, like, it's got so much in it that's so good that even if I wanted to nitpick the game, it would be really hard for me to nitpick it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think so too. I mean, of course, just, you know, the endings, it's just like, why can't my boy be happy? But he understands the circumstances of both him and Makoto, you know? And plus him deciding to take this role with the Shimano family, right, as the Mad Dog. And also taking, you know, bits and pieces from what Sagawa kind of taught him over these years. Even though he hated him, at the end, he learned to find respect for him.
He ended up becoming his guy, dude, at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much that both characters went through. I think more Majima at the end of the day, you know, because Kiryu is the front-facing character of the franchise up until Like a Dragon with Ichiban. You know, it's just seeing this stuff with Majima. I just want to know more, you know, as I go through 3, 4, and 5, and 6. How did we get to this point where the creators were like, no, we're going to give Majima all this love in 0, you know, because he's easily my favorite character in the entire franchise already, and still has been.
Yeah.
You know, it's not even the things that he goes through. It's just the way that he's perceived to be. You know, and I was talking to a buddy of mine about this a few weeks ago, and it's like, he's like, a lot of people don't get it, you know, like Majima is just psychological trauma that has been like this embodied person who just survives in his own way, no matter what goes on. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't disagree, you know. And then there's his own saga that comes out in Kiwami 2, which is a good closeout. It's a lot of closure. I just wish there was more, but we'll get there when we get there, you know. But as far as 0 goes, I think it's phenomenal. I think everybody should play this game. Whether you are a fan of beat 'em ups or not, the story and sub-stories will pull you in. The minigames will pull you in. The OST is pretty fucking spanking. Like, I'm just saying it again. Even if I wanted to nitpick this, which sometimes I do like to nitpick, you know, games or films, like, I don't have a complaint about this. It's very hard for me to say anything ill about it.
Yeah, my only complaint, my only big one is that, like, Kiryu is just Kiryu. He's not someone else. Like, we didn't see him become how he is for the rest of the series.
Right. Yeah, I can agree with that, but I think, and again, I'll definitely revisit this statement when I complete the series. I think Zero may have been made more for Majima than it was for Kiryu.
Oh no, yeah, this is clearly a Majima game.
Yeah, for sure.
I think a majority of Yakuza fans can agree with that. I mean, you just really see it with the writing overall. Like, the Kiryu stuff I thought was cool. Like, just seeing how, like, the Yakuza act was good. Like, seeing all the lieutenants do their thing. Kuze being, you know, the Akainu guy, right? Just angry and yelling and punching people. And then you see Awano, he's just like, bro, I'm Yakuza, I can do whatever the fuck I want.
And then we got Shibusawa, who's like the fucking dude. Who is he? The fucking in fucking One Piece. Who is he? Fucking
Kizaru?
Ice guy.
Yeah, Koji.
Oh no, Koji.
Koji. Yeah,
yeah.
Ao Koji.
Yeah, he's like the brains out of the three, and you know he has way bigger goals, and he sees himself in a higher position than what the other guys are at. Like, the other guys are content with being lieutenants in the clan.
Right, but he wants to be the cute dragon of Dojima. Just fine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for real. I forgot he has another fucking tattoo.
I do. He's the other dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like all that stuff's cool. One scene I liked on Kiryu's was with Dojima himself and how intimidating he was against Makoto. To say, like, this is how Yakuza play. We don't fuck around. Like, that stuff was cool.
Yeah.
You know, this game's not just a wacky fun time where you see a naked guy dancing in a cabaret.
Hey.
That shit was funny, dude. Shut up.
We didn't talk about Mr. Libido, but Mr. Libido's fucking great.
But then hopping on over to Majima's side of the story, it's the literal driving force of this game.
Yeah, because, I mean, we get, like, the idea of what's going on Kiryu's side, but we actually get, like you said, the driving force. We get the information that's needed to continue on the story in the Majima side. Obviously, with Makoto being in there 95% of the time, we get more of a reason why she's there, and then we get to Kiryu's side, and it's like, oh, that's why she's important here. You know, and I'll just go back to it. This is made for Majima. It's not made for Kiryu. You know, and even playing Kiwami 2, even more so, I'm like, oh yeah, like, this was made for the Majima fans, 110%.
Yeah, all the extra stuff added in the
110%.
remakes, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. And of course, my other big complaint, like I've mentioned it before in other places, but the fact that our two boys never met each other until a post-credit scene. You know, which it would have been cool just to see them finally meet in like chapter 15, and then
or something. You know, like
they'll size each other up, see what's going on, and it'll all click. It's like, oh, we're in this together. Let's go fuck up some people. You know, they make the plan, and that's when they split off for chapter 16.
Exactly. You know, and I said it earlier too. You know, like if you're not going to give me that much, give me a boss fight where I could choose who I want to be and fight the other person. Like, that would have been cool. And then give me the after credit scene. That's nice, you know. I get it. I get why they did it. I get why they went with that direction. That's fine, because that wasn't, even though Makoto was the only thing connecting them to each other, I can see why the boss fights went the way that they did and they ended out the way that they did. That was for each other's respective single story, right? But it would have been nice. It really would have.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand as well why it was in the post-credit scene. It's to show this is the start of when he becomes this wacky, goofy character that Mark Hamill voices for one game.
I'm telling you, it's all based off Nishitani, which we didn't talk about earlier. It's all based off Nishitani, dude.
Yes, yeah, and I was thinking that earlier too. Like, he's a great character, and it's part of that. It's part of Sagawa. It's part of, like, you know what? Just, I'm gonna do the Yakuza stuff my way. Fuck the way these old heads do it. And
which we get a lot more in Kiwami and Kiwami 2. More Kiwami 2 than we get Kiwami, I will say.
more Kiwami 2, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, Kiryu, I respect this guy. He helped Makoto when she needed it, and he seems like a good guy. This is my guy. He's my rival. He's my blue to my red.
That's pretty anime, dude. Do you want to even say that he's the Sasuke to your Naruto? Like, come on, just end
He's
it off.
better than Sasuke. What
do you
the
want to
heck?
say that that's your Sarada to your Boruto, or even your Rukia to your Orohime? Come on, dude.
He's
Just-
the Ed
just
to
keep
Eddie,
going.
bro.
Which Ed?
This one doubled it.
And with that, fellas, I think it's good to call it a fucking. Well, it's night for me. It might be day for you. I don't know where the fuck you're listening to this, but
Yeah. Just get ready to put in almost 100 hours in the game if you really want to invest your time into all that kind of stuff.
yeah, I think even if you skip a lot of the sub stories, at least do the cabaret for Majima, do the real estate for Kiryu, and I think you'll have a good time even just doing those. The main reason why I say just do those, if you are just going to be bare bones, is because level up system is based on money. That's the fastest way you can accrue money to spend out to level up your abilities. But yeah, that's going to end us off for this month's very late March episode over here on the Big Fucking Moon podcast. And thank you guys. Play Yakuza 0. And we will see you in the next month. Gang.